Hey, good morning, guys. It's March 10th, 2021, and today is the big day for Roblox's direct listing. So, as a quick note, you may notice something different. I don't have a lapel mic on my shirt. I got tired of listening to myself during editing with the gulping sound that I was constantly recording. I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but it was something that stuck out to me. And so I decided to upgrade for my birthday, which was this past week. My wife, shout out to my amazing, beautiful, lovely wife. I hope she watches this. She got me a blue Yeticaster microphone, and it's up here just out of the frame. And so I hope the audio sounds a lot better than the lapel mic that I was using previously. So with that, guys, let's jump right into it. I don't anticipate that I will make another Roblox video for a little while, simply because that seems to be the only thing I've been covering as of late. And a lot of that has to do with just how busy I've been outside of YouTube. And really just, leading up to this direct listing, just having so much good content to cover and new information to cover constantly over the last 2 weeks. But since today is the big day, I have one last video to put out on Roblox, and then I will continue to cover other stocks that I've previously covered and some new stuff. So going right into it, here we can see that Roblox on their investor relations page has a post on the fact that they are commencing trading today on March 10th. Jumping to Roblox's post where they issue guidance for this year of 2021, we can actually see some good financial data on what they expect to see over the coming year. So just reading some highlights that I had gone through and notated on, Roblox expects approximately 1.5 billion of revenue, 2.1 billion in non-GAAP bookings for year ending December 31st, 2021. So going down, there's a quote here that I want to read. We headed into 2020 with strong organic growth, which was further bolstered by social distancing restrictions. As those restrictions ease, we expect the rates of growth in 2021 will be well below the rates in 2020. However, we believe we will see absolute growth in most of our core metrics for the full year. We also expect that by expanding further into older age demographics and growing internationally in regions like Western Europe and East Asia, we will have significant opportunities to grow our business and higher rates again starting in 2022 and beyond, said Michael Guthrie, Chief Financial Officer of Roblox. We remain confident in our mission and the opportunity ahead as we become the platform of choice for people to come together to create, connect, and explore millions of immersive virtual experiences together. So there are two pieces of information in this quote that I want to unpack a little bit further. One is the obvious. Their growth has been absolutely explosive over 2020 due to the pandemic. With restrictions on going out and social gatherings, naturally, their platform online just absolutely blew up. Logic would tell us that that growth they experienced in 2020 is not sustainable, right? We're not going to have a new pandemic every year, and rates are not going to grow the same way that they did in 2020 for the core metrics that Roblox uses to measure how well it's doing. So in 2021, it's only natural that we will see a massive dip on what they can expect growth-wise compared to how much it grew in 2020. The second thing I want to unpack is the sentence where they say, we also expect that by expanding further into older age demographics and growing internationally in regions like Western Europe and East Asia, we will have significant opportunities to grow our business at higher rates again, starting in 2022 and beyond. So 2021, a lot of the metrics we're about to dive into for the guidance that they issued is actually not expected to see any kind of significant improvements from their expansions in China. So East Asia, they're talking about China and the deal/partnership they have with Tencent to be able to expand Roblox into China. By reading this tells me that they expect this full year to probably be working on that partnership, understanding how all of this is going to deploy in China, getting their data centers built, getting all kinds of infrastructure laid on the ground, moderators in place, all kinds of stuff so they can hit the ground running in 2022 in China. So we don't expect that any of these numbers or financial metrics in their guidance issued for their expansion in China to actually reflect in 2021. So going on to some of the metric guidance that they give us, as we know, they love reporting their metrics in three key ways, which is daily active users, hours engaged, and bookings. Revenue is very important. However, I like looking at bookings more than revenue just based on how they account for revenue. So just doing a brief recap of what I've covered in past videos, their revenue isn't realized when somebody goes on a Roblox and just spends money and has Robux, which is the in-game currency, added to their account. There are two different types of ways that you can spend money on Robux in-game, which is spending it on a consumable, such as getting double XP over a given amount of time. And that revenue isn't actually realized until you consume that consumable in the game. The second way is by buying a durable, which is something that changes like the aesthetic of your avatar, how you look, something like that. As soon as you purchase that, the revenue isn't necessarily realized right when you purchase that said aesthetic piece. Instead, it's realized over the average lifespan of a typical player on Roblox, which is roughly 2 years. So revenue, due to how they have to account for it, isn't necessarily the best method for seeing how they're doing financially with how much money they're bringing in. Simply because somebody can go and spend a lot of money on Robux and have it just sit in their account and not do anything with it, and then their revenue doesn't see that money. Even though it's sitting there, it doesn't get realized. That's why I like bookings. Bookings is representative of people spending money on Robux and it just sitting there. That tells me how much money is flowing into Roblox, just very straightforward. So I personally like looking at bookings. And then the fifth metric is actually net operating cash flow. So going into the numbers on these, here on my screen, you can see that daily active users for 2021, what they are expecting is that they go from 34.6 million daily active users to 36.4 million. So that is a year-over-year growth of 6% to 12% potentially. That is 1.8 million daily active users added during 2021. Now, if you've been following along, you know that this is a very, 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 very big drop off. And I have some graphics that are going to show visually what that drop off looks like and what that means. So we're just going to run through these metrics and then get to the visuals. For hours engaged, they're looking at 29,800 million to 31,400 million, representing year-over-year growth of -3% to 3%. So potentially a drop-off in hours engaged or an increase. We're not sure. We'll see as we go through the year. Revenue of 1,440 million to 1,515 million, representing year-over-year growth of 56% to 64%. Non-GAAP bookings, 2,000 million to 2,125 million, representing year-over-year growth of 6% to 13%. Net cash provided by operating activities, 320 million to 340 million, including 51 million of one-time expenses related to the company's direct listing today. So going to the visual attachment on that investor relations post, here we can see that hours engaged in 2020 right over here just absolutely exploded like we were talking about to 124% growth from 2019 to 2020. In 2021, we can see that hours engaged is expected to basically be the same, 0% growth. And that is mainly because as restrictions ease off and people are able to get out of the house and do whatever it is that they please, most likely you're not going to have as much time spent on the platform. So even retaining the amount of time that they have seen in 2020 is massive. So I think maintaining just 0% growth in hours engaged really is okay in my book. And I say that mainly because of one other key metric. As long as bookings increases, as long as the amount of money being spent on the platform increases, then I think that this is actually fine. Now, I don't think this is fine for the long term. I think this is fine for 2021 only. And that is because with their expansion into China and some of the metrics that we'll see from that coming out in 2022, as well as the data centers they're building in India, as well as the expansions in South America and several other countries where they're building data centers and looking to expand their user base, hours engaged will eventually have to go up with more users. That is just what logic tells us. More users, more hours spent on the platform. So again, I only think hours engaged plateauing is okay for 2021. I don't see an issue right now. However, if we see a plateau still in 2022, that could potentially be problematic. But that's a topic for a future video. Daily active users. So daily active users, we can see bumps up 9% in their guidance from 2020 to 2021. This is healthy growth in my opinion because of the massive explosion in 2020. I wonder how many times I can say that in this video. We see that the 85% growth just isn't sustainable. It looks parabolic from 2018 to 2020, but we know that what happened in 2020 is due to some unique situation that we probably may never see again in our lifetime. Who knows? But we definitely know that they are benefiting from what happened in 2020 simply because I don't believe that 2021 daily active users would be anywhere near 35,500 million daily active users for guidance had they not seen that explosive growth last year. It probably would have been, somewhere maybe around 20,000 million in 2020 and then maybe 25 to 30,000 million. So, and that's me being very optimistic. I may be overshooting it by assuming numbers like that had the pandemic not happened. It's a complete guess, but the point still remains. 35,500 million daily active users is very high, and obviously that is due to the boom that we saw in 2020. So the fact that this is going up, that's a good sign. I think with the awareness, with the direct listing, with just PR campaign for Roblox, I believe that this will continue to go up, but it's not going to go up an insane amount. It's going to be anywhere from 5 to 10% a year until they start expanding into new countries, such as China. Moving on to bookings. So how I like to look at how much money Roblox is bringing in. We can see that they expect a 10% growth from last year in bookings. That is a good sign as long as that holds true. So with 1,883 million in bookings in 2020, with a 10% increase to 2,063 million expected for 2021, this, in my opinion, is a great look. If they see a path forward to bring in more money while hours engaged is completely plateauing, then that is a good sign to me. And just from the previous videos that I've done, I can see this happening. This makes sense to me because of their recent push to having Roblox players as premium subscribers. As more and more people get on a premium, which provides Robux and all other kinds of different benefits, then I can see their bookings really going up with how much money is being spent on the platform. Now, I'm going to skip net cash provided by operating activities just for a moment here because I want to go to revenue first. So here we can see a revenue growth of 60% expected for 2021, which is very large. Now, a lot of this is probably because of such a massive boom in 2020 and some of that revenue not being realized till 2021 due to the two ways that you can spend Robux and how the revenue is realized through spending Robux in those two ways that we just covered earlier in this video. However, I don't assume that to be a very, very large component of revenue in 2021, but I do see revenue going up simply because, like I was saying on the premium subscriber push and just awareness overall. With awareness comes older users. With older users will probably come more spending in the game. This is a good sign to me. Revenue going up, bookings going up, hours engaged tailing off, but money being spent in game just overall going up. That's great. So now going back to net cash provided by operating activities, we see the drop off. We see their net cash basically go down from 524 million to 330 million. If you watch my Investor Day recap, you'll know that's because the sentiment from the executive board is growth, 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 growth. It's all about growth. And as they grow, they need to spend money. That is why they had those private funding rounds to raise money. That is the whole premise behind everything that's going on is just simply they need money to grow. And from all the private money that they are basically holding on to right now for growth, it's to spend in data centers in India, to spend in expansion in China, as well as several other countries. It's to expand their engineering team, which is currently 800 engineers strong. But as the executive board had said in that Investor Day recap, they need a lot more personnel. Not only that, but as you expand to new countries, they need to hire thousands of moderators, make sure that the game is a safe place for everyone to participate in. So there are just so many areas where it takes a lot of money to make sure that they are capturing the market that they can capture. And that is why we're going to see net cash go down. But that's a good sign. If they're spending the money, if they're deploying the cash in all the right ways, then this can absolutely take off over the coming years. So overall, that is my analysis right now for the financial metric guidance provided by Roblox for 2021. Now let's get to the direct listing expected price. So some things I want to point out before I tell you what I expect the price to be. The NYSE came out with a $45 price target for Roblox this morning. That, in my opinion, is probably not going to be where it is. I think it's going to be higher than that, and I want to explain why. So why are we looking at Spotify stock? Well, that's because Spotify had the NYSE issue guidance when it was set to have a direct listing, and the reference price was $132 a share. But trading opened at $165.90, which is roughly a 25% increase from what the NYSE provided a reference price at. Let's go to Palantir. Palantir also had a direct listing, and the NYSE set a reference price of $7.25 for that direct listing. However, Palantir opened up at $10. So with that, we know that the reference price set by the NYSE is $45. If I just use historical reference prices for other direct listings and how conservatively the NYSE prices those reference points for these direct listings, I would say, and this is a guess, but I have a feeling I'm going to be pretty close, I would say Roblox is probably going to start trading around $55. Now, $55 is going to push the valuation higher than 29.5 billion, which many of us have already been talking about as it's probably too high. But like I've been mentioning, that's the market we're in. That's the market we've been in. Low interest rates, stimulus checks, the Fed just printing money. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but it's the new norm, and it's what we have to take into account when we look at these prices. So the real question becomes, is it going to hold? Should people wait to buy the stock because of some expected consolidation? It's impossible to time the market. I've learned that the hard way. If you know anything about me, the GameStop frenzy that I was making videos on back in November when I bought 500 shares at $13, but then sold at $18 the day before it started spiking up into the 30s, I am terrible at timing the market. Do not do that. It is a bad idea. I missed out on a lot of tendies. So for me on Roblox, I like the company. I like the business model. I love the positive feedback loop between users and developers and how Roblox profits from that. If you need any more information on that and how I go deeper into Roblox, I have several other videos on it. However, for the scope of this video, I believe the reference price is going to be around $55, but I am not going to throw all my eggs in the basket right when it opens up. I will buy a tiny bit. And then as the day goes on and I look at what the price is at the end of the day, maybe I'll buy a tiny bit more. And then I'll wait maybe a day or two and then buy a tiny bit more. And I will keep my eye on it over this week and next week and the following weeks. And I will average in. I will average in because for all I know, the stock could go crazy and shoot up to $100. I don't know. It could tail off, consolidate, and maybe go around $40 to $45. $45 would make sense, seeing as the valuation of 29.5 billion is what the private funders sought the stock at and what they were okay paying for the stock at, but who knows? It's a free market and people are free to choose what they're willing to pay for Roblox. And so we will just have to wait and see. But for now, I expect the price to be around $55. I will be averaging in over time. Let me know what you guys are going to do down in the comments. Let me know if you plan on buying in right at open, waiting a little bit of time, or maybe there's another strategy out there that I just don't know about. Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, consider subscribing if you're not subscribed, and until next time, guys, see ya.